does that even mean, Bowers getting the corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another Thoughts from the Corner. I'm here with my good friend Lucy.
Hey.
From Game Night. And today, we're going to be talking about Architectura from Arcane Wonders. This is for 2 to 4 players. Age is 14 plus. Will take about 30 to 45 minutes to play. And in Architectura, this is a really simple game in which you are going to have a deck of cards. And if you're playing the beginners, the basic version of the game, everyone's going to have the same cards. But if you're playing the advanced version of the game, then you can mix them up.
And we'll
talk more about that a little bit later. But on your turn, you're generally going to have 3 cards to look at most of the time. And you're going to play one of your cards out into these rows or columns out here. And when you play a card, you are going to look at the card to the immediate left of that card because they have numbers on them. And if you beat that card, then that card goes down 1 slot, so it scores less points. If you don't beat it, if the card in front of you beats you, then that card ticks up and it goes to a higher number, so it might go from an 8 to a 10, which those are also victory points at the end of the game, your cards that are still out in the village. And if you more than double the card to your immediate left, so if you play a 6 right next to a 3, then you completely destroy that card and they get flipped over. And these are what the cards look right here. So as you can see, they kind of turn throughout the game. But along the way, all the cards are going to have special text down at the bottom, and when you play them and how you play them is really going to change your strategy and change everything about this game. And then when you mix in the advanced cards, they're completely asymmetrical cards, which we were not expecting.
Yeah, it's kind of a surprise. It's like, okay, you have all the same cards. Oh, you had that card that does that. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So gameplay-wise, it literally is just look at your hand and play a card. And that's pretty much all you're going to do. So let's get to our thoughts on the game, because I think this game was a lot more than I was expecting.
It was. It's one of those kind of card games. I don't know if they even have like a genre, but definitely it's like a look. Because the gameplay is simple. It is literally draw and play a card.
Yes.
But those kind of games, usually you have to read the text on it, and that's what's really important.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there's a lot of how, like, things can interact. Like, for example, I had, like, for my special cards, like, I had a card that if I played it near a park, it'd get bonus points. Or, like, you had that card that, like, destroyed everything in the row that was less than it.
Yeah, that was one of the special cards, which was, like, I was waiting for the perfect scenario because it destroyed everything, including mine. So I was trying to set up one particular row and just letting you put there, or maybe moving something to there. And yeah, there's things that are going to be moving. There's cards that will let you protect things. When you get your cards is also very important as well, because you might get this great card, but it might not be good until later on in the game. So it's like you hold it in your hand, and holding onto that card kind of sucks, because there'll be turns where you're like, oh, I don't want to play any of these cards. And then there'll be a time where it's like, I don't want to play any of these cards, but then you might play something and be like, yes, this card's great now.
Finally.
And so I feel like each game is going to be slightly different in that aspect. Now, I do want to talk about the advanced cards a good deal, because I feel like that's where this game gets legs.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, there's some different cards.
Oh yeah, like you had like, and I also like played like differently. Like mine had like, because mine like had like a little recovery kind of aspects. Because like mine was like I had a graveyard, so like if my cards got destroyed, I would still get points for them. Because usually if your cards are destroyed, you get nothing for them.
Yeah, they're bad.
And I had another card that, like, sort of played off of that, because, like, they were kind of, like, combo cards. Like, I had a card, like, instead of, like, taking from my hand, I could play a high-number card.
Yes. And I really like the fact, and how that works is, you don't add more cards. You're still adding, you're still going to start with, I believe it is 12 cards, so it doesn't extend the game, which I really like. It's just, at the beginning, you're like, oh, which one of these cards do I want to put in there? And so we played 2 games of this. I forgot to mention that. We played 2 games. We played a basic game. We liked it so much, we played an advanced game of it.
Oh, yeah.
But it feels like there could be some definite synergy that you could work on some of these cards. And I thought that was really stinking neat. And let's get to just what we think about the game. I think this is a great game.
I liked it a lot.
I am going to keep this game, I have no doubt in my mind. And I think this is probably going to be one of those go-to filler games that I go to for game night, where I don't want something that's that light, but I still want something that's got some interesting choices, a little bit of meat to it. I think this is a good one to start or end a night with. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty entertaining. Like, it definitely has a lot to think about, and, like, it's not, like, there's nothing, like, really overpowered about it, because, like, you could be like, oh, this combos well to this and this, but it all depends, like, what kind of cards you draw. Because, like, I think, like, for all our first hands after we added the advanced cards, it's like, oh, this is good late game.
Yeah, and I had, man, I want to go through the yellow special cards. I want to go through all Jimmy's special cards, because like, I had one where increased my hand size to 5 cards,
Yes.
which is a big deal. But I had to kind of like sacrifice cards in order to get to it, which is interesting. I also like how easy the scoring system was, because at the end of the game, it's just you look, you
count the top
count up your
cards
points.
and-
Maybe you got a couple that maybe you probably have one that gives you extra points at the end of the game. It was clean, it was clear. Graphic design wise, I didn't have any issues with it. I really liked Architectura. I think this is a great game from Arcane Wonders. I think this one's going to go under the radar, though, which is unfortunate. Because the theme, that's one thing. The theme itself is...
The theme, it does...
No.
It could be a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, it could be just about anything. But
the art's beautiful enough, and I think that I think this would be, like... The art's pretty, which is what I think is going to help it sell a lot. And, like, this, though, I would say that this is probably, like, one of the... Because you even discussed it earlier, how you were kind of glad you didn't have your kids try this out first. Like, this is one of the card games where I think, like, the age range probably be about, like... Since it says, like, 14 and up, I'd probably say, like, at most, maybe 12.
yeah, I think I think I could swing it with some of my 10-year-olds that I've had, but it'd have to be, like, the ones that really wrap their brains around it. Because, yeah, it is all about the text on the card. So I would say family game only if you have kids that are on the older side.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think this is going to be a great game night game. I think it'd be fun at 2 players. We only played it 2 3-player games, but I think I'd enjoy it just as much as 2 or 4 players. And in the end, Architecture, I think this is one that you really might want to check out if it looks like it might be your cup of tea. And this is one too where I mentioned this as well. If I ever see promo cards for this, I'm going to go out of my way to try and get these promo cards, because it's just all about the cards and what they do, and I really hope it does well, because lots of potential.
Like little expansions, like more cards, more options to trade and stuff. Because I don't want the deck size to be bigger, because that just like kind of bloats the game. Because it's a perfect game. It's not too long. It's not too short.
Yeah, I just want like a micro expansion, maybe what, like 40 cards? Just give me 10 of each.
Yeah.
10 for each faction. That'd be cool. But there you go. That is Architectura. Don't let this one fly under your radar. Very cool game from Arcane Wonders that we both like a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
If it looks like it might be your cup of tea, be sure to check that one out. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. If you would like to support the channel, consider supporting the Patreon down below. It improves the lighting, the audio, the video, all that good stuff. And in the comments below, let me know, what was the last game that you played that flew under the radar, that's not that popular of a game, but that you really enjoy?
Oh, well, I brought it here and it almost fell.
Tragedy Looper?
Tragedy Looper.
Is that one under the radar?
It now got dropped it's now officially like out of print.
Yeah. But there was a pretty big rollout for that. I'm actually going to go with the game we just played tonight, which...
Oh, yeah, we did.
Oh, we don't know the name of it.
It's Liberté.
Liberté! Yeah!
It's French!
Yes, Liberté from Martin Wallace. It was really hard to understand when we learned the rules, but dang it, that is a really cool game.
It was a fun game, yeah.
But let me know in the comments below, what's a game that's flown under the radar that you really enjoy? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.